What's up? Hey, hello, everyone. Wow. So today we are back going to be talking about Survivor season 46, the penultimate episode of this season. So my name is Rachel.
I'm Alyssa, and I was just saying to Rachel, this didn't feel like the penultimate episode. There's still so much left to do, left to say. There's still a big conflict brewing. So it was a good episode, but I'm really excited for the finale coming up.
Yeah, honestly, I was a little bummed out when the immunity challenge happened. We had so much tension pre-immunity between Charlie and Maria. It was going to be a good tribal, like, okay, which one of these people can beat the other one out here strategically? But at least both are here next week, so we can still see this feud go on. But Maria really showed her cards this episode, and I just can't believe the idol going home 4 times in a row is wild.
Yeah, this is just the weirdest thing, and I I want to know like what is going through their heads. What are the conversations they're having at Ponderosa? Like, what are these people doing?
This is why we needed Ponderosa videos this season. Like, imagine the reactions. Like, Hunter goes, and then you see Tiffany go, and they're like, oh, no way. And then Venus goes, and they're like, yo, you are lying. And then Q goes, they're like, there's no freaking way that this keeps happening.
Yeah, there's no like how? So, I mean, I think idols can still be used at the final five, right? Or no more idols can be used anyway.
Next week, Final Five. Yeah, so maybe it's a curse. You get the idol, and you immediately get voted out.
I was gonna say maybe someone gets voted out at final five with an idol in their pocket again.
Which is just so funny though too, because like the people in the game don't really know that this is happening. They only really knew that Tiffany had the idol. So it's just funny that now it keeps happening, but really only the Ponderosa people know about it.
Yeah, I hope it comes out in final tribal though, just because that would be spicy.
Yeah, like did you know that they had idols and this was actually a big scheme to like eliminate people with idols, but doesn't seem like that's the plan.
Yeah,
So we start off this episode, Q saying he butchered the spelling of Venus's name. He wrote V nice, and then Ben wrote Q nice at the end of this episode, which I thought was funny. But I thought that in the episode that this was interesting because on social media, Q was saying last week, oh, I was supposed to vote Kenzie as well with Ben to make it a split vote. Then we hear Ben say he messed up the vote too. So it's weird that the social media is different from what we're seeing on the episode.
yeah, I feel like social media is definitely different. It's also interesting because Ben is like so committed to the like I just had a brain fart thing that I feel like that's part of why people are confused. Because if Ben had like admitted in like a confessional, like, oh no, like I did vote for Kenzie on purpose, we would be less confused because then the stories would be somewhat consistent. But he's like, no, it really was just an accident. My brain was fried. So
Maybe it's believable because he's like not eating, not really sleeping. He said he's not lying about messing up the vote and genuinely like writing Kenzie's name down instead of Venus's name. So it seems like yeah, maybe he just messed up the vote. So then it's weird to have Q saying it was actually supposed to be a split vote and Ben voted correct here.
yeah, I've got no clue.
But Kenzie's like, yo, how does that even happen? Our names aren't even similar. They're very, very different. It is funny though, because people in specifically like Australian Survivor, they mess up the vote and then someone else gets voted out because of it. So, like, it does happen where they get their names a little bit jumbled and then they just write down whichever one that they last heard, last thought of, especially for split votes. There's a lot of names going out there. And so it's happened in Australian Survivor a bunch of times. So it's just funny that they're like not lying about it here, but lying about it maybe.
Yeah, I feel like it would be so confusing, especially if it's a split vote or you're not sure what people really want from you because the same person could tell you different names. So, yeah, it's just
That's
hard.
true because you might be like, okay, this is the real plan, but in front of the target, we're going to say the fake plan, and then easy to get confused.
Yeah, very easy to get confused. I feel like poor Ben, like we said, has just been really out of it, so it's hard for him.
We also see this episode, Ben is having continuous more night terrors and panic attacks. I thought maybe Ben might quit this episode, and I'm glad that he did not leave the game. And we also see Kenzie comforting Ben again, similar to like we saw earlier this season. Kenzie seems like a very, very good person.
Yeah, it definitely does seem like she was doing it out of the kindness of her heart. I also wonder how that's affecting Kenzie though, because like she's also getting up, not getting that like hour of sleep, 2 hours of sleep. So it's interesting that Ben seems to be like breaking down more, but Kenzie is still like relatively okay, even though you know, they're both not getting enough sleep.
Yeah. So we also see this episode. Maria is sad about Venus's comments at tribal council. Here in this segment of her being sad, angry about the comments, she says, I've been on the right side of the vote every single time. And rewatching the episode and catching it the second time, given what happens later in the episode, I was like, oh, low key, maybe a little bit of foreshadowing.
That would be fun. I love a good bit of foreshadowing.
So we also see Liz poo on day 22. I thought that was wild, though, that this has sort of been a little bit of a story arc this entire season, but to not poo in that long just seems really unhealthy.
Yeah, it definitely does, but I guess like depending on what you're eating, it could also like be fine. So I'm sure that the survivor doctors are like making sure that no one is legitimately unhealthy. So it must not have been concerning. So
I would agree, probably not concerning with all the doctors out there, but in real life, you never want to hold in your poo. That's very bad for you.
yeah, but I mean, I don't think she was holding it in. I think she just could not shit. So
Yeah, didn't have anything in there.
mhm.
So it feels like Liz's whole mood changes after she poos, after she gets on the reward this episode. Like, she's very spunky this episode. She makes these dolphin noises at the immunity challenge, which I thought was like very cute and endearing. The sound was really cute.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of those things where like if you're not feeling good physically, it's not easy to feel good mentally. So like I'm sure that not pooping for 22 days can definitely like cause your stomach to feel not great. So maybe it's like after she poops, she feels better physically, so it's easier to be there like mentally.
Yeah, so we get to the reward challenge. You have to go through obstacles and then do a puzzle ball maze in order to win the Chinese food sanctuary visit. Everyone gets to the ball maze, so everyone has a chance, but Charlie ends up winning the challenge, and then Jeff drops the bomb saying it's the food, but also you have to pick for people to get letters from home, which causes some drama.
Yeah, it causes some drama. I feel like Charlie did the best that he could by being like, "Oh, I'm just going to pick the people who didn't eat because that way he doesn't have to like deal with the whole thing about the loved ones letters. He can just be like, I just picked the people who didn't get to eat." So,
I agree. I feel like he picked the best reasoning, and this is the most like neutral reasoning to do. Okay, let me pick people that didn't go last time or haven't been in a long time. And the numbers worked out here that Venus wouldn't have been left out and be butthurt that she also didn't eat last time, but she wasn't invited, kind of thing. So I feel like doing it diplomatically like this does makes sense. Similar to what Maria tried to do last week, but then picked someone, let people rock, paper, scissors, and then the person that went last time still went this time, kind of thing. Here, it's very diplomatic. You bring the people that didn't get to go last time. You can't really get too mad over that. Like, you can still be butthurt, but like his reasoning is logical here.
for sure. I think it was also interesting that I forget which one of them said it, but basically Charlie and Maria have a pact that they're not bringing each other on rewards. So I wondered like how much that also made his decision easier because then it's he's only picking two people that he isn't bringing along with him because it's already assumed that he's not going to bring along Maria.
Exactly. And I do wonder, like, people that make pacts like this, if they would still, like, hold a grudge still, because even though you have a pact, you've probably talked about your families, how much they mean to you, and then you're like, "Oh, he should have still brought me. He knows how much my kids mean to me. He should have brought me." But then Charlie could easily say, like, "Nah, we agreed we wouldn't be bringing each other." But I feel like sometimes people agree to things, and then when it actually comes up, they might still be butthurt or hold a grudge over it, which Maria doesn't seem to do. Instead, she says it lights a fire underneath her.
I do think that if you're making that kind of pact, it would be really easy to bake in an exception and just be like, we're not going to take each other on rewards, but like for the loved ones visit, like, yes, we will. Or like if you want to. Because I feel like that's the easiest way to not be butthurt because then like you have the opportunity to be like, yes, I would still want to do a loved ones visit or a loved ones letter or whatever.
Yeah, definitely hard to have like a asterisk there, because then if you have that, like, oh, but if you win this, you can bring me. If Charlie wins it and he doesn't want to bring her, then Maria might be butthurt because you're like, oh, but we talked about you could have brought me for this. Why didn't you? You know how much my kids mean to me. It would just cause more issues.
Oh yeah, that would have been so messy. I feel like you said, Maria did the best possible part of it, which is to like make it light a fire under her, and that fire might be why she's still in the game.
Exactly. So we get to the sanctuary. They have some sweet moments. We get to learn more about the players, which was very nice. For the family letters, I want to know the inside joke on one of Charlie's letters. Like the name Mark was written at the top, then was crossed out, then they wrote Charlie on it. I want to know the joke.
Yeah, I want to know the joke too. Maybe it's like he has a sibling named Mark, and it's always like, haha, we always accidentally call you Mark. So I don't know.
Yeah, I do wonder, like, do nosy people pause like the TV when you're if you're watching it on a laptop or something to read the letters? Because Kenzie got like a full letter shot. You could pause that and literally read the entire thing.
Someone posted the screenshot of the full letter to like the Survivor subreddit, so people definitely are doing that.
Yeah, I'm like, I feel like I wouldn't want my letter posted online. I feel like that's so personal.
Yeah, I wouldn't want the camera guy like peering over my shoulder while I read it either. So
Yeah. Be privacy much. Back up. Don't get a
yeah.
full screenshot of this. Like, you can have the front, but not the top view.
Mm-hmm.
So they too say that reading the loved ones' letters also lights a fire under them in order to win the game, play hard, vote out their number one potentially. Those three are bonding on this reward, which Q and Maria definitely misread later on this episode.
Yeah, they definitely misread a lot. I feel like this kind of shows that Charlie is still kind of like the mastermind socially because, people are trying to get him out, but they can't read Charlie's like relationships correctly.
Yeah. Speaking of getting out, we see Q finds the hidden immunity idol. I thought Q was funny in this confessional where he's like explaining him finding the idol. I was like, this is very compelling. The way he like ebbs and flows these sentences, it was a really good confessional.
Yeah, I feel like Q, a lot of people have been saying he's just like a naturally charismatic guy. So I definitely understand like why he's a really good realtor and then maybe why he like is good survivor too.
Yeah, Q then tells Maria that he found the idol, which could have helped him. It could have also blown up in his face, but mostly it should have helped him here, telling her that he found the idol potentially. I feel like here Q was thinking too far ahead. He says, I need to just get through 6, then I'm in 4. Which, yes, technically that is correct. If you got through 6, you play the idol at 5, then you're in 4. But you're skipping a little bit too far ahead. You have to get through 6 first.
Yeah, but I think he doesn't think of it that way, or maybe he assumes like that he's nailed in. I guess locked in is the correct word, because like it's easier to get out a bigger threat. So
Yeah, I feel like Q, he says he would play the idol for Maria, but I feel like you just say that, but you're not actually ever going to do that. But if you're telling your ally about it, you would just say, "Yeah, I played for you." But I would guess he'd probably never play it for anyone but himself.
probably not. Yeah.
So Maria and Charlie, after the reward, have this conversation sitting on the upside down boat. I thought it was a little bit of an awkward conversation. Now, us as the viewers, we both like we know that both of them have voiced wanting to vote the other one out in confessional. So it's like a thought that is out there. And just their body language, I noticed on the boats, just so awkward. They're both like sitting straight forward, not really like turned to the side, engaging in the conversation. Charlie had his arms crossed, not really much eye contact here. I was like, this is sort of awkward. And for us as a viewer, knowing that they both want each other out makes it more awkward.
I wonder if they also kind of got the vibes that like
Mhm.
the other person wanted them out, just because I feel like it's one of those things where you can tell when someone's like vibes change, and I feel like the vibes definitely would have changed.
I would want to know that too after the season. Like, could you tell that something was up? Because even when they're talking, it just felt weird too from Charlie's end. His voice got really high pitched and it's like, oh yeah, like, can't wait to meet like your sons and all that jazz. It has that fake niceties that you would do with someone that you'd want to vote out, and then it's awkward because like you want to get rid of them.
Yeah, you want to get rid of them, but then also you can't act like you want to get rid of them. It almost feels like people swing too far in the opposite direction, where they're like, I can't wait to like be besties when we're off the island. Like they almost overcompensate.
Yeah, no matter which way this goes, I'm like, red flag. Why are you saying no matter what happens? You trying to vote me out?
Yeah. So it was kind of a mess. I do like that they showed us both of them wanting to get the other one out, though, because I feel like otherwise it would seem almost like villainous if one of them was trying to get the other one out without it being reciprocal.
That's why the tension before the immunity challenge was so good. I was like, please, none of you win the challenge so we can have this duel happen. Like, if the episode would have been so good if it were Charlie versus Maria here, which one will come out victorious? Which one is going to get the upper hand? Like, even Charlie says the episode, Malcolm versus Denise, but Denise wins. He's the Malcolm. He wants Malcolm to win, so he's willing to vote out Denise. When they were making the Malcolm and Denise references, I too was thinking to myself, like, yo, Denise won. You shouldn't want to go to the end with her, or you're going to be chopped at Final Four, similar to Malcolm. So you've got to change some things. You don't want to go to the end with Denise.
Yeah. So I'm really interested to see like next episode. Is Maria gonna win immunity again? Like is Charlie going to be able to get to the final three without his Denise? So
We get to the immunity challenge. They have to do some more obstacles and then a 3D dolphin puzzle at the end. The dolphin puzzle was pretty cool. I thought it was a fun looking puzzle, but similar to like the fire puzzles, hard.
yeah, I feel like the whole thing about this dolphin puzzle is kind of exemplified by like once Maria got to a certain point, it like was so quick for her. I feel like puzzles like that, the fewer pieces that you have left, the easier it gets. So if someone gets even a little bit ahead, then it can be a really big deal.
I agree. Like we've done a similar puzzle from Russell Muscle, the fire puzzle that is like this 3D spatial puzzle. The start so difficult because there's so many pieces. They all sort of look similar. Once you get closer to the end, there's less spots to put the pieces.
Exactly.
But I was surprised. There were a lot of people sort of struggling on the balance beam, like just falling off regularly, but no one failing super hard at the balance beam. I feel like sometimes we see people struggle a lot on balance beams, especially balance beams in water, but it didn't seem to be a big issue. Everyone made it through.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of those things where people realize that the strategy was just go as quickly as possible, because then I feel like that minimizes the amount of effect the water has on you. So they all figured it out.
I sort of wanted Ben to win. When he was leading, I was like, okay, go Ben. So that it could have been Charlie versus Maria. But like we said, with fewer pieces making it easier, Maria really zoomed through that puzzle at the end. She wins immunity. I think it'd be very, very impressive if she could tie or beat the record of immunity wins, especially in a shorter season. And she's the oldest woman on this cast. I was like, that'd be very, very impressive, and that'd be something you'd bring up at Final Tribal.
That definitely would be. So I'm kind of rooting for her to win the next immunity challenge as well, just because that would be so fun.
Just to have the record broken, like the number of idols being voted out with people
That would be
in a
fun
row.
too. Yeah. I feel like idols voted out in a row, they must already have that record.
I think so, yeah. So it's pre-tribal council. It is Q versus Charlie's names coming up. I feel like kudos to Kenzie and Liz. They did a very, very good job bluffing. They made sure Q and Maria are comfortable and not nervous, similar to Charlie, too, like just going with the course. But the misread was that Liz and Kenzie would vote Charlie out after he took them on the family reward, and they were all crying about it.
Yeah, yeah. Kenzie and Liz really did the most because they were lying straight to their faces. I was impressed just because I guess I wouldn't have thought of Liz to be like a super great liar. I feel like we saw a lot of like Kenzie's social game. Kenzie can lie to people, but Liz being able to also do it effortlessly, it was awesome.
I agree. Like, it didn't feel awkward, like the Charlie Maria conversation feeling awkward. It felt very natural. Like, let me look you straight in the eye and lie straight to your face. Hee hee. To Blindside Q, who we both want out, we both dislike. I think, like, really, really good for them to bluff that hard. It's got to be difficult to continuously lie to people's faces and really sell that you would vote Charlie out. And I feel like this is the misread because, you know, Liz talking about her daughter, Kenzie talking about the wedding that they didn't have and it had to get moved because of this opportunity Kenzie got. It's like they both seem like emotional players. Other people may still vote the person that brought them on the family reward out, but these two people just don't seem like that kind of person. Like, if you gave me this gift, I maybe will vote you out in the future, but I don't want to vote you out today.
Yeah, this time you're safe.
Yeah, like, thank you so much. I won't vote you out tonight, maybe in the future, but not tonight. And they seem like the people that wouldn't vote him out tonight because he gave them those letters.
Exactly.
But Charlie told Maria about the plan, which easily could have backfired if Maria told Q to play the idol. Then Maria could hide behind everything. Maria could continue to vote with Charlie and vote Q out, which sort of saves her place. It doesn't blow her game up that now everyone knows Maria tried to vote Charlie out and failed, which is ultimately, I think, one of the worst things that can happen. Your number one knows you tried to vote them out and you're both still there.
Yeah, yeah, I feel like this is going to be so awkward, but I think that also maybe it speaks to what is going to be Maria's eventual downfall, the fact that she doesn't tell Q, even though like it would have been so easy for her to just be like, Q, listen, like I know you want to keep the idol for Final Five, but like just play it now. You can find it again. Or something like that. Just because I feel like it was almost overconfidence where she was just like, oh yeah, I know I have these people on my side. The idol doesn't need to get played when it could have been played and that could have changed things. So
I agree. I feel like it was hubris, like we can save the idol for next time kind of thing, compared to like if you're thinking strategically, you would maybe not want to tell Q to play his idol, because then Q gets this huge move on his resume. It's so flashy in front of the jury. If he's the sole vote to vote Charlie out of the game, Q has a great thing to talk about at Final Tribal Council. So I'm like, strategically, maybe you don't tell Q to play his idol because of that, and then he gets all of these points with the jury with this big flashy move. So I'm like, okay, I wouldn't want to give that to my ally. But I think, I don't know, then like you let him get voted out here, and maybe you vote Q out too and you go with the numbers. But I agree. It seems like it was the misread and the overconfidence that Liz and Kenzie were with them, that you're not telling Q to play the idol. You're not doing all this funky stuff with an idol or anything because you truly believe Charlie's going home. So you vote that way.
Yeah. So it makes sense, but also, come on, you could have been better.
Maria, I think last week was bad. This week is even worse. Like, Charlie gets out of this vote so scot free because Charlie will be like, yo, Maria, why the heck did you vote for me? Even though us as viewers know that Charlie wanted to vote for her too. But Maria doesn't technically know that. So it's like Charlie could be like, yo, why did you vote for me? Now I'm going to vote for you. You gave me a reason to vote for you. I can vote for you out without having a guilty conscience about it because you struck first. So it's like Maria flubbing it here lets Charlie have the upper hand going into next week because Charlie was truthful. He told her the plan to vote Q out, and then Maria tried to vote Charlie out.
Yeah, it was a whole thing. I feel like you could also say, as Maria, like, I was the one who was more ruthless. Like, Charlie wasn't able to strike him until I struck first, and that would have been a bad thing. But I don't know how successful that sell would have been.
Yeah. And like that's why I sort of wish it was a true Charlie versus Maria this week where both of them were up for elimination, because Maria could be like, "Charlie, you probably thought about voting me out. We all thought about voting everyone here out. Like it's not a novelty that I would try to vote for you." Charlie seems like the person that would be like, "Okay, commendable good gameplay, but I can still vote you out," kind of thing. Like, kudos, you tried, but I want to get the upper hand and vote you out. Hee hee. So it's like, if it were a true Charlie versus Maria and Maria didn't have immunity, I think that would have been very interesting rather than Charlie potentially going into next week with the upper hand because Maria flubbed it at this Q vote.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see like what happens with the Charlie versus Maria, because I very much doubt they're both gonna make it to final tribal, but I also like don't know what will happen if they do.
Yeah, so we get to tribal. Kenzie calls Liz a grandma, and then she calls Charlie a dog.
Yeah, I Kenzie really had some zingers today. She also like made a big deal about like, I thought Ben and I were allies, but maybe we're not. So I feel like Kenzie made this tribal fun.
Yeah, and then like they cut to Soda's face when she's saying the dog comment, and then her jaw just drops.
Yeah. I also liked when they cut to Venus's face when they were talking about the spelling of Venus, and she just was like, can't believe these people. So I love it when we get those little bits of jury reaction.
And speaking of spelling, the voting parchments this week were very funny. You had Q Skirt, Q's full name, Quintavious, and then Q Nice, based off of the V Nice last time. And then they showed us all the votes. So we see 4 votes for Q, and then we see 2 votes for Charlie. And then sort of tense, like, okay, will he play the idol or not? I feel like deep down I was like, he's not playing the idol and he's going home with it because it's got to be 4 in a row.
Yeah. I feel like the bad part about that is that once they like got past like, if you have an idol, play it now, like you knew what was happening, so there wasn't as much tension. The tension was all, is he gonna play it or not? So yeah.
Yeah, then you know the votes are 4-2 at that point in time. And then we see Q get voted out. 4 idols voted out in a row. Q's final confessional is talking about Applebee's. Him and his wife are going to go to Applebee's, except he said, me and Emily. And then watching, I was like, who is Emily? Like Emily from last season? So got to go on Instagram. Emily is his wife.
I would love if he and Emily Flippin got together to have Applebee's. That would be really funny. I feel like their personalities would be, yeah, just lock them in a room together and see what happens.
So they got the Applebee's shout out. Now I feel like we got to go to Applebee's, Alyssa. It's just been talked about so much that I feel FOMO.
Yeah, we definitely need to go to Applebee's.
So Maria, bad episode, really showed her cards, blew up her own hand. Now Charlie knows that Maria tried to get him voted out. Charlie, though he wants to also vote Maria out, has easy ammunition now to use against her next week.
Yeah. Next week's going to be quite the time.
Yeah, it's the finale next Wednesday, which is so exciting. I feel like going into the finale, Charlie, Maria have the most winner potential. Kenzie in the middle there. I don't see Liz or Ben winning.
Yeah, I don't see Liz or Ben winning either. I feel like it depends on who gets to the final three and then how well they're able to sell their story. Because I feel like Kenzie could be Maria, I think, depending on like who's sitting there, just because I feel like Kenzie has a better social game than Maria does. I think the
Mm.
real interest would be, is it Kenzie or Charlie? Like if they were together at final three, what would happen?
I agree, because Kenzie and Charlie would have similar social games, I would say. Both of them seem like they have created deep bonds with people, compared to like Maria is probably never ever getting Venus's vote kind of thing. Like certain people just have votes that they're probably never getting from the jury.
Yeah, probably. So I think that will definitely make it interesting. So, who do you think is going to win, Rachel?
Like you said, I feel like it depends who is going to get there. Like Marianne has said, I've said in stuff, like you want to go into the final five as the third most threatening person, and then you can go and win the game. That's if you can vote the two threats off at 5 and 4. They don't win fire, they don't win immunity. So that part's a little bit tenuous. If they're good challenge competitors like Charlie and Maria are, a little bit dangerous to go into final five with them. But I like Charlie and Maria seem like they have the biggest targets on their back. Maybe you try to go for them at 5 and 4, and then Kenzie, Liz, Ben. Kenzie's winning.
Yeah, I also feel like Kenzie's winning. So, fingers crossed.
Then Banu was right. The mermaid dragon.
Gotta beware the mermaid dragon, man.
Yeah, so I'm excited though. We have a lot of people with, I guess, a majority of the people with winner equity. Liz at a final tribal council, I think that'd be funny. So I sort of want to see it. Sort of don't really want to see Ben at final tribal. So maybe he'll get voted out. Then we can have like Charlie, Maria, Kenzie, or Liz at final tribal.
I feel like a Charlie Maria Kenzie final would be the like most fun, but I feel like Liz would be the most chaotic. So, I like that.
Yeah, I just sort of want to hear what Liz has to say about her game. Ben, not so much at Final Tribal. I'd rather hear like one of the other people speaking.
Yeah, same.
So, yeah, it is the end of Survivor Season 46 almost. Let us know what you thought of this penultimate episodes in the comments. Do you think Maria should have made a plan with Q to play the idol, or would that have given Q too much jury cred by doing a flashy move? Do you think Maria flubbed this episode so much that she won't be able to make it to Final Tribal? Let us know in the comments down below. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and we will see you all next week.